Human life depends on the environment, thus, the conservation of the environment is essential, and as well, women have a vital role in the management, the preservation, and the restoration of the environment, as they have a direct link in the contact with these, be it the soil, be it the forest, be it water, and every aspect of the environment. Greetings to you, dear TV friend, and welcome to another edition of Women's Voice on Divine Mercy Radio Television. It is a program that comes up every Thursdays at exactly 5 p.m. where we discuss issues about women, but not just for women, where we promote good practice and also discuss or raise awareness on issues that have to do with gender and has to do with the promotion of women and empowerment. On today's edition of the program, dear TV friend, we're looking at women and the environment. We're looking at the role, women's role in the restoration of the environment. A couple of days back, the world took a pause to commemorate the World Environment Day, and one of the focus was about our land, our future, which was a slogan, and it's focused about the restoration of the environment. And today, on today's edition of the program, we're going to look at what role the women have to play in the restoration of this environment. And statistics has it that women, especially the rural women, have 90% or more of the activities lead them to the interaction or leads them to work with the environment. Thus, they have a direct influence and impact on this environment, and they also have a greater role to play in its restoration. Do not move a muscle, dear TV friend, as we'll be discussing and also examining the roles of women in the environment. And I'll be joined here already. I'm joined by Otop Joseph, who is a familiar face on Women's Voice. Greetings to you, Otop, and thanks for joining us.
Greetings to you, Joyce, and greetings to all televiewers of DMR TV. And it's always a delight to be on the program Women's Voice. Okay,
we also took time to go down and meet some stakeholders who will be sharing with you their thoughts and also their opinions as far as this topic is concerned. We will be sharing with them at the very beginning. So, dear TV friend, to kickstart, just to remind you that on the 5th of June, the International World Environment Day was commemorated under the slogan "Our environment, our land, our future," and we actually met with an environmental expert, that's Linda Asaba, who actually talked to us about the theme and then the slogan of this year's celebration. Let us have our very first excerpt of the day, which is with Linda Asaba.
I'm Asaba Linda Suri. I'm an environmental advocate and so passionate about the environment. It's a privilege to be part of this sector where we can talk about environmental issues, we can advocate, we can raise our voices, and we can raise awareness when it comes to environmental issues. Interestingly, this theme, the theme of this year was well captioned, because these are actually the challenges that the entire universe, if I would put it that way, the entire world is actually facing. Issues of desertification are very glaring. Even in Cameroon, if we want to picture it and bring it right down to where we are, we have issues of land degradation. If we're talking about restoration, that implies there have been issues of land degradation, which is changes in the natural value, how can I put it, of the environment. There are a lot of activities or things that we have been carrying out, or anthropogenic activities that have been carried out by individuals that have actually changed the state of the environment, and it's affecting us in so many ways. Desertification, look at the north region of Cameroon. We know that there are a lot of crops that come from that area, but the challenge of carrying out farming in these areas is something that we need to talk about. It's something that we actually need to look into. Everybody can attest to the fact that some years are becoming drier than other years, hotter than other years. That's because we have a lot of environmental problems like climate change and global warming. Those are the things that we're talking about. All these different aspects interplay. And drought, it's something in the north again, that's where we can actually they feel those impact more than what we can talk about maybe in the southwest region. But for these past few years, we can also situate the fact that temperatures have been actually on a rise. Places have become hotter than normal. But when we're talking about, it started with land degradation. That's because land restoration. That's because the land has been degraded in so many ways. Maybe we are going to talk about those in detail, the aspects of land degradation, the issue, the things that have caused our land to be degraded, such that now we have to work on restoring the degraded land, or like we can say. And also about desertification. We know it's about, we have natural land that because of encroachment, because of deforestation, because of so many activities, it has become, it is now like desert, no water. It's difficult for crops to do well in those areas. There are arid areas that are gradually becoming more of desert. So it's all these aspects can be put together because they concern us. I think it's actually a theme to ponder over. It's a theme to actually take seriously, because our natural ecosystems are actually degrading. They are becoming, many things are affecting them, and it will also affect us, because the slogan of this year says that our land, our future. That implies whatever we do to the land, is going to affect the future generation. So we have to work more on sustainable land management, if that's what I can say for now.
Very much, Linda Asaba there, throwing more light on the celebration of the World Environment Day. Before we continue, we'll get back to our interview. I want us to talk here, Joe. We are looking at the role of women in the restoration of the environment, and we are coming within the backdrop of the celebration of the World Environment Day, which has focused on our land degradation, restoration, and drought. So before we go into further detailed explanations, which Linda will be bringing back to practical explanations, which is already started, to be able to situate what we're talking about, the environmental challenges. I just want you to talk a bit about the celebration, the importance or the significance of this international observation.
All right, thank you very much for that opportunity. First of all, the World Environment Day, or Eco Day, as it is commonly called, it was instituted in 1973, that is 51 years ago, by the United Nations Organization, in which it saw the need that considering the fact that we as human beings, we have that interaction with our environment every day, and considering our socio-economic activities in which we carry out every day, there is a need to institute this day to tell people the importance of preserving our environment and the ills and what we do if we go against some things that contribute to the ecosystem, like biodiversity, deforestation, and a lot of things that contribute to our ecosystem. Like Linda made mention, the slogan of this year, our environment, our future. So the United Nations brought up this day in order to create that awareness, in order to show the importance of the environment. If our environment is not okay, if we don't make the environment conducive for living, then we too as human beings, not only human beings, the plant too will not have a conducive place for growing and also breathing too. Yes, plants to breathe. So we as human beings too, we are supposed to be aware of how to preserve our environment, what we are supposed to do and what we are not supposed to do as concerns the environment, because there are some things that we do, most especially to the soil or to the environment at large, which contribute or is disadvantageous to the ecosystem in general. So this is what this day is meant for, just to create awareness about the environment, what we are supposed to do as concerns the environment, and considering our socio-economic activities that we do on a daily basis. Educate people about the environment, the importance of afforestation than deforestation, and various other things that concerns the environment, in which it helps us as human beings and also the plants around us.
Thank you very much, Otop, for bringing that with us. We're going to get back now to Linda, where she's going to talk a bit about the details of the effects or activities that we practice that actually has a deteriorating effect on the environment, especially on our land use pattern. Let us have Linda, where she's throwing more light. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it to the studio, so we had to do these interviews before we bring them to you. So let us have Linda Asaba, who is an environmental advocate.
We normally have the desert areas that is just a normal ecosystem. It's not because people actually did anything for it to become that way, but also for arid areas that are gradually getting into desert land. That's because some unsustainable activities are taking place there. Illegal deforestation, uncontrolled deforestation, a lot of burning. We have a lot of people that are carrying out the slash and burn kind of agriculture that we keep discouraging, but in one way or the other it's affecting these areas. So what are the things? I don't know if we're actually already getting there, but in those areas, that's why we have a lot of projects that are carried out in those zones, like Operation Green Tree projects, where we want to restore the land by planting more trees, and they encourage people in those areas to actually plant more trees if they have to survive. Also, we have activities like people need wood. It's true that people need wood, and that's one of the reasons that forces people to actually cut the trees illegally. If we don't have other methods of energy, energy or energy use, it actually pushes people to start destroying this ecosystem or destroying the forest ecosystem uncontrollably. And of course, we cannot stop. I'm sure gradually we're getting there, but women are actually always accused of being at the forefront of such activities because they need the wood every day for their everyday cooking and other household activities. So just to throw some light on these few activities that are actually carried out.
For sure, it is no doubt that activities, we are not being biased here. We all know that both men and women have activities that has a direct influence on the environment, but there are also a category of women who are, especially in the rural areas, whose activity has a direct impact and influence on the environment. And these are activities which they carry out on a daily basis, which has, be it on the an effect, be it on the forest, be it on the wetlands, be it on the land itself, which has an impact on the environment and in turn turns to affect and impact the women. So Otop, before we take on the other excerpts here, we are going now to our next topic, which is the relationship or the role which women have to do as far as this is concerned. What is the connection or what is the link between women and the environment?
All right, thank you very much for that question. Like I said earlier, considering the socioeconomic activities that we go on every day, we know that women are people who, I can say, work a lot, and they are concerned with these socioeconomic activities, be it washing, farming, and all of that. So they are really concerned with when it concerns the environment and what women need to do as concerns the environment and the relationship they need to have with the environment. Now, talking about, let's forget about them being inclusive. Now, in general, talking about the celebration of this World Environment Day, I think women ought to know the importance of the environment in which they live in or in which they reside in. That tree might not be important to you at that moment, but it is important to other plants found around it. So that is discouraging deforestation. Plants too need other trees to breathe and to grow well. So it might not be important for you, but it's important for the environment at large. And if you cut down that one tree, then it might or it contributes to the destruction of the ecosystem. So it's very important, most especially if you are going through Douala, that Miselele Road. there are people who sell firewood there. They cut firewood from those trees, in which I think if they are educated and they are being included on what they are doing and giving alternatives of the fossils fuels they can use instead of deforestation, then I think it will be very important to women. We are talking about women because they are engaged in the environment more than men. It's something that is glaring. Bringing it in our contemporary society or in our homes where we live in, we see how our mothers and our women work hand in hand. Let me just put it hand in hand with the environment. What they do, they cook. Some people just cook, use dirty water, throw in the farm. You're destroying plants, which contributes to the growing of the ecosystem. So I feel like if women are included and they are being educated on the importance of having that engagement with the environment, I think it will go a long way in how they cope and how they interact with the environment, and from there they will know what to do and what not to do as concerns the environment. You are not doing it only for you as a human being. There are other plants too. There are other plants and trees that contribute to the building of the ecosystem. So you might feel like you are destroying at that point because maybe it can be a distraction, maybe in your farm or beside your house and all of that, but you should always put in mind that there are other plants around who are dependent on that tree to grow, and thereby, like I said, building the ecosystem.
Thank you very much, Otop. Just to say that, or just to throw more light, that this focus will come back to women again, time and again, because we are working from the premises of the just ended World Environment Day celebration, which focus was about land degradation. And one of the issues, those who work daily, we had no men are involved also in these activities, but we come back to the rural women whose daily activities affect her and affects the land system, the land patterns, and also because women who are engaged daily can also be major stakeholders in the restoration of the environment. Now I'm going to take on Linda and Dr. Elizabeth Ebot, as well as Teke Franklin, who will throw more light on the role of women in the restoration of the environment.
Wow, it's if I were not going to be gender biased, I would say that women actually own the environment. I know someone can put me somewhere. Anyway, that's because women spend most of the time, in the environment. There are a lot of activities that concern women. I want to take us back to, our rural women, like we can actually talk about. What were the main things that they did? What were their main activities? They were all farmers. They will spend most of their time. Most of them will actually even give birth in the farm. That's what happens. Before they will rush them to the hospital, we always hear stories of some of the women already gave birth, because that's where they spent most of their lives. If you give a woman any space, the first thing you start seeing is she has planted this or this or this or this. They have this relationship with the environment, and therefore that tells us that women have a great role to play in preserving the environment. Before we get to the preservation, I love this theme. It's about land restoration. Anything that needs to be restored is because something had affected it before. So what happened to land degradation? What caused the land degradation? Are women also, accused of degrading the land in one way or the other? I was just talking with somebody the other time. I was like, on her status, one of the things that she saw, they were like, women use of diaper and so women are actually contributing a lot to land degradation because they are using a lot of diapers now and throwing them carelessly. But our agriculture is one of the main activities that actually contributes to land degradation, whether we like it or not. That's actually one of the activities. We have other things like chemical use. People use a lot of chemical now for fertilizer, to even increase on the soil fertility. That's because the land has been degraded in one way or the other. Unsustainable agricultural practices that women use, we have the slash and burn, like people keep saying, overuse of fertilizer on a particular piece of land. Right now in Boya, we can say that, for example, people don't even very few people carry out organic farming. Everybody is into fertilizer. It's true that there are other fertilizers that have been tested and their properties can actually not destroy the land a lot, but come on, those are some of the activities. What about plastics? The use of plastic in the environment. We have women selling in the market, buy and sell them. What do they use in packaging our whatever we are buying from the market? We use a lot of plastic, and most often the discouraging thing is that these plastics are single use, and when we use, we throw into the environment. It affects the quality of the land. You want to plant now, you go to your farm, by the time you dig, you have encountered wrappings, plastics, plastic bottles. Come on, and the agricultural yields are actually gradually being also affected.
Women have a very unique role on restoration processes, because women are very connected to nature. So women are always there, to do agriculture in their own small scales, and so they can be able to use the waste that they generate and then produce biofertilizers and use them instead of using synthetic fertilizers. So women have a very good method of restoring the soil. They augment it by bringing back organic fertilizers.
I think women have a lot of. I think women have so much to play when it comes to restoring the environment, because women are the focal point of the environment, because they themselves get engaged into agriculture. So I think that they are the pillar when it comes to sustaining the environment. Women engage themselves in agricultural practices because they don't want to be in an environment where they have nothing to provide. So a woman who is like a housewife, she sees upon herself the opportunity where she can bring something on the table by investing in an agricultural program. Women have a lot when it comes to restoring the environment. Like we have a program which is Ecofeminism for Nature Restoration, where it is centered about the involvement of women, which is centered about the participation of a woman. Okay, since a woman is the one who is mostly in the forefront of agriculture, we are seeing that they can learn to practice sustainable agriculture by using a particular piece of land and planting different other crops. That's practice crop rotation. By using crop rotation, they can allow a particular piece of land to regain its fertility.
Thank you. Thank you very much to you all for sharing with us the different roles which women can play in the restoration of the environment. Beginning first of all admitting and also situating the fact that women have a direct role. Since we're talking about land degradation, we're saying that women and one of the major things that affects or that makes it easier or affects the land is agricultural practice. And in terms of agriculture, we have a lot of women at the forefront of agriculture, and the reasons why I think those different guests have situated the different roles which women can play in the restoration of the environment, and also establish the link between women and the environment. Otto, before we move up to another set of interview with other guests, maybe you throw more light as far as our recent talking point is concerned.
All right, thank you once more. The interviewees there have said a lot, but I just want to note that it begins from creating that awareness and the women knowing that what I'm doing is not correct. There are various alternatives or products in which you can use to cultivate whatever you are cultivating, be it maize, melon, and all of that. And let's not forget that the environment too, it comes in link with our livelihood. What you produce out there, know that it will get into the market and people will consume it too, and also it might be detrimental to their health in general. So environment and what we produce, or agriculture, also links with our livelihood, what we consume on a daily basis. So it's very important for women to know the type of fertilizers they use in order to cultivate the crops they cultivate. Because when you cultivate that, it does not grow normally as it should grow, and when you eat it, when people eat it out there, might cause maybe diarrhea or something that is detrimental to their health. And also using of these wrappons, like Linda made mention of. Wrappons is not fertilizer or bottles, and it's not meant to be thrown in the farm. It does not depreciate. Wrappon does not depreciate, and it's not manure. So when you throw wrappons and bottles into the land in which you're cultivating that crop of yours, if you take note, it either it takes a longer period of time, or the plant dies naturally because of that presence of that wrappon or that bottle you have thrown into the farm. It's wrappon and bottles are something that are to be used once. It's not something that is to be reused. When you use it once, you throw it away, maybe in the trash can, not that you take and throw in the soil or the environment. It causes or is detrimental to the ecosystem. And also I think those are the two main points. You knowing the type of fertilizer. There are various alternatives. There are some farmers who use really harsh fertilizers,
inorganic, which is inorganic. One of the things,
which is detrimental to the crop you are selling out to people, and also detrimental to people's health too. So it's very important to know there are various alternatives in which you can choose from. It's just to meet people who know or who are into agriculture and into the environment, to give to you the proper fertilizers you ought to use in your farm. Organic, to be specific, organic fertilizers you are to use on your crops, and desist away from throwing away wrappons and bottles into your farms. Like I said, it's not manure. Instead, it will be detrimental to your crop and the environment at large.
Thank you very much, Otto, for that. And just to add that somewhere earlier on, Linda made mention that one of the things that actually degrades the land is about the use of these synthetic. Even Dr. Elizabeth Ebot mentioned about the use of synthetic fertilizers. They also recommended that the waste we use, how we manage our waste, there is a waste which is actually which we can use, especially from our household. Instead of waiting for Izakam to pass and take, women can see how they can use the same waste to produce their organic fertilizers. And just to add that data reference for those women who are interested in agriculture and want to learn how to produce their own organic fertilizers, luckily we have Caritas of Daughters of Boya, their department in charge of sustainable agriculture. They actually train those who are interested. If you're interested, you can get to us at either the delegation, or you send us an SMS, and you will be trained on how to make your organic fertilizers with local material, which is actually free of chemicals and nutritive and healthy for your plants. And just to add that, as Otto did make mention, excessive use of these inorganic fertilizers actually has an adverse effect on our health. And I think definitely we'll be discussing that. Back to our discussions here, we all agree that women have a direct role, and we've also enumerated the different roles which women have to do as far as the restoration of the environment or our land particularly is concerned. Now we're going back with Linda, who is going to share with us what are some of the challenges which women face in the course of participating in this activity.
There's lack of finance actually could be one of those reasons why women can actually not execute those kind of projects where that they have to, in the villages. We still talk about agriculture. There's something one person said, when we talk about agriculture, it's not agriculture in its full sense has to be something that can feed people. If you can feed, we are talking about what we carry out in the household around us. Women, people come, they go and plant this. They can only harvest to feed just their family. It's not actually agriculture in its entirety, because agriculture, if we're talking about projects that, if you are into potatoes, if you are into tomatoes, if you are into maize planting, whatever, you can be able to sell, make money, save money for yourself, take care of your family. Unfortunately, that's not what we have in our context when we're talking about agriculture. To some extent, especially in the rural areas. Now we're talking about hurdles. There are other things like the gender role, I don't know how to put it, there's this thing that has been ascribed to women. Don't have enough power, they don't have the power to make those decisions, and so they are left behind. I want to talk about maybe the lack of infrastructure. I want to talk about that, and technological advancement to some women, or what do I say, because in some areas women actually put in the energy to plant, to harvest, but can you see the road, the connection from the road, what do you call it, for farm to market road is a challenge for women. Men might have the ability to walk long distances, maybe they can carry, I don't know how much plantain they can carry on their head, or the trucks that they can push to take the products to the market, but what about the women? But the truth is that we still have some women who are thriving, who are trying as much to be able to meet that, but it's a challenge. It actually kills this initiative. What is it that they wanted to do? How can you take this knowledge of land degradation or land restoration that we're talking about to your village? Look at the roads, and not even your on air now. They've been showing us bad roads, and the rainy season is coming. We have products that are going to be ready this time. Maybe maize, maybe granules, maybe potatoes, and all of those. But how do they live from those interior areas to bring them out to the limelight, to the market? And sometimes when they come, they are not even able to sell to make enough money that they can take care of themselves and their families. So it remains a challenge. Women also, technology, there's technological advancement, women are still left behind. Now there are apps where you can sit and monitor your farm. You don't need to go there. Just recently I was watching something where machines are taking over harvesting of products. Where you want to harvest your cabbage, your carrot, you don't need to go there yourself and start digging all day. Sometimes maybe the notion of hard work is what has taken over us. Hard work is like the work that you need to do until you sweat. That's what shows. But there's technology now where you can sit at the comfort of your home or your office, and you can still monitor your farm, you can monitor your products, you can monitor every other thing. We are encouraging women to get to that point where they can, they should not be left behind. They should get to that point where they can be able to brand their product. They can be able to they know they are coming informed in such a way that they can coordinate, manage, implement projects of that magnitude.
Thank you very much, Linda, for highlighting a plethora of the challenges which actually affect women's participation towards the restoration of our land. If you're just tuning in, dear TV friend, you're on to Women's Voice on Divine Mercy Radio Television, and you can join the conversation by sending to us via SMS or WhatsApp on what you understand or you think are the different roles which women can take for or contribute in the restoration of our environment. Joe will continue here. Linda has enumerated a series of the challenges or obstacles or barriers which women have towards participating or actively contributing to the restoration of the environment. You want to throw more light on some other aspects?
Yes, I want to add to some points that Linda made mention of. Some of the challenges women go through as concerns conserving the environment. One is finance. Women don't have the money to purchase. Yes, if they are given an alternative that this is a product you are supposed to use, this is a fertilizer you are supposed to use, where do they get the money from to purchase that particular fertilizer? Maybe the government is recommending that they should use on their farms. If you go to some banks now or credit unions we have in our society today, women have limited access to money when it comes to borrowing. Most especially when they find out you are a farmer, they feel like let me just say you are the poorest of all. But that should not be the case. We should encourage these women, give them access to money so that they can purchase these particular fertilizers, organic fertilizers, in which they can use on their farms. And also talking about gender disparity, women are not included as concerns environmental conservation in the society. If you look at our society now, there are mostly men the ratio to men and women when it concerns the environment, you see that one is lacking down, which is the women. They are not included, maybe because they are women and which they are considered as the weaker sex out there in the society. So these are this is another challenge women face out there. They are not included because they are women and they are considered a weaker sex, and also creating more awareness in the society. Now, this World Environmental Day is not only for women in the urban side. What about the women in the rural community? If you look at it critically, when the celebration of World Environment Day comes, most of these civil societies and governments, they are focused on the urban community, which is not supposed to be so. The rural community, the rural women are to be included as concerns this awareness, what they are supposed to do as concerns the preservation of the environment, the particular fertilizers they are supposed to use, what they are how to create these organic fertilizers, or how to make these organic fertilizers for themselves. So these are some of the challenges I can say, or break it down to the rural women and the urban women. The rural women are facing a lot of challenges when it comes to technology and how to access modern forms of farming out there, in which they can have maybe a better output, in which they can sell and they can plow back. I'm sure that's how they call it in economics, plow back into the agriculture they are doing. So I think these are the various challenges women face as concerns environment preservation in the country. Lack of finance or access, lack of access to money, lack of inclusion, lack of I can say adequate awareness. Most especially, I was talking most especially about the rural women or the rural community. So I think these are some of the few challenges to add to what Linda said as concerns the challenges women face out there as concerns the environment.
All right, thank you very much, Otto. Permit me to take this contribution. Greetings to you, Joyce, and all the panelists. Thank you so much for this topic. I just want to say that women have a great role to play in the environment. A good number of women, as statistics says, are involved in agriculture, but sadly, this good number of women do not have the capacity or are not amongst those who make the decisions that affect either our environment or our land. They are busy working their bodies out in farms, providing food, but their voices are not captured or heard when it comes to decisions that influence the same pattern. How I wish we have more women in decision-making positions who have an experience or who are directly influenced or who are directly involved in activities relating to our environment. This is from Mercy, watching us this afternoon from Moliko this afternoon. Thank you very much, Mercy. Otto Joseph, what do you think about Mercy's proposal stating that women actually have a great role, but they have a volume of women involved in activities, agricultural activities, but when it comes to decision making, these women are not involved or their voices are not captured, and to her it is a great barrier to women's participation in the restoration of the environment.
Yes, I will agree with her. It's a great barrier, like we have been saying for a few minutes time here. Women have the greatest volume of the inclusion of environment. They have that one-on-one contact with the environment, considering the socioeconomic activities they do aside from farming or agriculture. Now, if these women are included in have this equal inclusion with the men as concerns maybe forest department or environmental department in civil societies, and also to the level of the ministry or the government, then I think it will go a long way in which other women would not have that access to modern ways in farming, would not have that adequate awareness of what the conservation of the environment is all about. I think if they are included, then it will really go a long way in creating awareness for other women out there in the society to know what to do and what not to do as concerns the environment. It's something that is glaring, but then again, considering the society we live in, like I said, women are considered the weaker sex and men are considered the alpha. I think that is something the government and other civil society should look into it's not something to debate. It's something that is there. It's glaring. All of us can attest to that fact that women contribute to the highest volume or the greater volume when it concerns interaction with the environment. So if those concerned can look into this and see how women can be included in this forest department and environmental department, then I think it will really go a long way in creating more awareness to not only the urban women but also rural women who don't have access to technology or phones in which they can see that, oh, this is what they can Google and see that this is what I'm supposed to do on my farm, or this is the particular fertilizer I'm supposed to use on my farm or my crops, or this is what I shouldn't throw in my farm, or this is what I should throw, or what you gather as waste products in order to make your own fertilizer. So I agree with that viewer as concerns that part of women not being included in this forest department and environmental department.
Okay, thank you very much, Otop. I'm going to take another contribution here. Thank you, Joyce, for the topic. I just think that at our own level, not only women, we can start by managing our waste from home properly, especially plastics and also with degradable waste. If we are able to separate both, it's going to go a long way to have a safe and clean environment. We walk the streets and see diapers littered around and every other nasty things which are not also only good for us as humans and also for the soil which provides food for us. This is from Jude writing us from Mutengene this evening. Thank you very much, Jude, for your contribution. Or top another comment there.
I think the problem is not separating. Like I said, it's all about awareness. Creating that awareness. I think
managing our waste properly.
Managing our waste properly. If there is no awareness, then there is no way we can manage this waste properly and know what we can make out of that as organic fertilizers to put in our farm. So I think it doesn't only end at differentiating. Talking about diapers, there are some people who feel like the poo in diapers is manure to that crop they have planted in their farm or that small garden around. No, you don't throw a diaper in your farm just for the fact that you say poo is considered as manure and all of that. So it's all about awareness. Awareness is a big picture, and differentiating the waste product, what to use and what not to use, it comes under awareness. So if we are aware of what we are doing, then we'll be able to know how to differentiate what to use on our farms and what not to use in our farms. So like I said, it's just about awareness. The problem is not differentiating, because there are some people who know or who have a little knowledge, but they don't know how to implement it and how to go about it. So that is where awareness comes in, knowing what to differentiate and when to differentiate, what to use and what not to use.
All right, thank you very much, our top dear TV friend. You can continue sending us your SMS, your responses, your opinions via SMS or WhatsApp on the numbers which you find on your screens. Time for us to take other proposals on to recommendations above these challenges. What are some of the things which women can do in spite of these challenges? Let us have for Dr. Elizabeth again and Njume Franklin, who will be throwing more light on the different aspects which women can contribute in the restoration of the environment.
I think that women should engage in awareness creation to know that the waste that they generate in their homes, they can carry back to their farms and fertilize the farms. So I think women to help to sensitize other women and even their kids, bring them up so that they should know that they can use organic fertilizers instead of synthetic fertilizers, which is causing a lot of health issues to people. Thank you.
Some of the challenges that these women, especially rural women, face, the major challenges they face is equipment and finance. And this is an area where they find it very, very difficult on how they can protect their soil, for instance. Let's just say a woman who engaged in an agricultural practice like maybe vegetable farming, she will need fertilizer, and the type of fertilizer that she will need an organic fertilizer. And most of the time, these fertilizers are usually very expensive to get, and most of the time, the availability is not even there most of the time even. So those are some of the challenges they face, and also the resources. They need the resources, because the resources is one of the things that they need. For a woman to invest in agriculture, she needs the resources to get materials, she needs the resources to get technology on how she can improve and have better here in an agricultural land.
Very much for those interviews there. And just to note that, dear TV, you're still watching Women's Voice on Divine Mercy Radio Television, and we had there Franklin going back to some of the challenges which women face as far as their contribution to the restoration of environment. Particularly, this goes back to land restoration, which is one of the focus of this year's celebration of the World Environment Day, and we're looking at the role of women in the restoration of the environment. Thank you very much. Let me take this contribution. Thank you very much. Your debate is very interesting. Abdul from Niger. Thank you very much, Abdul, and greetings to you all viewers watching us from Niger this afternoon. If you're just tuning in, dear TV friend, you're still onto Women's Voice on Divine Mercy Radio Television. Atop Joseph, we've had the opinions. Dr. Elizabeth actually mentioned, Dr. Elizabeth Ebot mentioned that one of the greatest things which women need to do is about sensitization, and also have knowledge that we need to raise awareness, and women need to be trained. Because how many, I used to see our grandmothers in those days when we ate ripe bananas, when we plucked our vegetables, when we peeled our plantains, when we peeled our cocoa yams, we used to carry them back to the farm. Or we just keep them, and we maybe when we clean the poultry, we carry back those waste, the dump from be it the waste from the fowl, the pig, the goat, the cow. We carry them back to the farm and we use them as fertilizers. How many farmers today still do that? We have those farms, we keep those birds, we breed those animals, but how many of us go back to use these organic manure for our farming? We know some people have involved in industrialized farming and some of those things. I think that if we can collectively have this contact, these farmers can get in contact with, because not all farmers carry out the same agricultural activity.
That's true.
If you are involved in planting of crops, you have another farmer who is breeding birds, you guys can collaborate. You can always collect the waste from his poultry and then you take it back to your farm. In that way, we can still have the yield and also the quality of food which our grandmothers had the habit of making available for us. But this can only be done if we are aware that we can see, which still goes back to knowledge, which is training, and as well as sensitization, which Dr. Elizabeth highlighted earlier on.
All right, to add to what Dr. Elizabeth, some of the recommendations in which women can participate as concerns the protection of the environment, like we have been saying, is all about creating awareness. I think if awareness can go, this awareness can go a long way, and we can create this awareness against environmental degradation and how it can be detrimental to our environment, to women, and not only to women, to the society at large, not leaving out men too. So the big picture is creating the awareness of environmental degradation and how it's detrimental to the soil, to our environment, and to us as human beings. Another recommendation I feel like is creating awareness programs in schools, in rural areas. Like I said, if you look at the celebration of this World Environment Day, it's mostly focused on the urban areas. Now, what do you expect the people in the rural areas to do? If they are not aware, they will continue spoiling the soil, spoiling the environment, because they feel like what they are doing is correct. So if you can create these awareness programs in schools, in these rural areas, and teach these women on how to farm properly, on the various or the organic manures they can use on their farms, then I think it will also go a long way. And also I think creating strict and legal ways or ultimatums, let me put it that way, on the types of manure or fertilizer to use, because like you rightly said, nowadays you find very few farmers who grow their crops organically. There's always that fight of, I want to sell first. I want my farm product to go to the market first so that I can finish and go back. When you overuse fertilizer on a particular piece of land or a particular place, you are destroying that land. And like I said, the environment is linked to our livelihood, what we consume out there. It's detrimental, disadvantageous to the system of a human being. So I think if this legal aspects are being put in place on the proper and the specific manure we are supposed to use, then it will go a long way. And also another recommendation, like we said, is the inclusion of women in this forest department and environmental department. Environment, I can say, is not something gender, but like we said, women who are closely related to the environment, considering the activities they do on a daily basis. So if these women can be included into this forest department, environmental department, they are trained, they go back to their community, they train the women there too on how to farm properly, then I think it will go a long way. So I think these are the various recommendations that can be put in place by the ministry, the government, in collaboration with the civil societies, as concerns the inclusion of women, or how women can adequately preserve the environment in our society.
Thank you very much, Otto Joseph, and we'll be concluding on some of these recommendations and also what advice Linda Asaba has for our viewers. Let us take on Linda for the last time on today's edition of program. I want to really thank her already for her time, and let us have Linda giving us some of the recommendations and also her words of encouragement to women who are involved in the protection and conservation of the environment.
How then can women be able to restore this land that has been degraded? First of all, sensitization and education is key. And that's what sometimes advocates like us, that's what we talk about on air. Yeah, because if you ignorance, they say ignorance of the law is what? It's no excuse, of course. So there are times when we carry out some activities because of our ignorance. We didn't know that there's a better way of doing it, and so we focused on the what we knew that could be destroying the ecosystem in one way or the other. Women, we are calling, we want women to be involved. We have the rural women, there are programs to educate women. We want women to become informed, so that we tell them the sustainable way of carrying out these activities. That is the lead way to restoring our land. And now we're also talking about organic farming. We are encouraging women and integrating women into such programs. In other countries like Rwanda and Kenya, we see that women, there's this, I was following this program where a lady said, let's make agriculture to be sexy. I don't understand what that was, but she wanted us to see picture that there is a way that we can brand our agriculture, whoever you are, even if you are an agriculturist, if you are somebody who is carrying out, there should be a way that you package it and then it makes it look good. We're talking about organic farming. We want more women to be encouraged to carry out or they call it sustainable agriculture. That's the word that is used now. We're talking about sustainable agriculture. It's a way to improve on land degradation. Our land degradation. Why? Because we encourage women. Now we are in the era where you use your whatever our waste, our organic waste from the household. We are looking for a sack where we can dump it. But little do we know that there's gold in garbage. That's what we can actually use to improve on the soil fertility, to improve on the nature of our land systems. So those are some projects, those are some ways in which women can become involved. I talked about sensitization and awareness raising program. We talk about even education. We talk about including even women in research. I will never stay away from that, because we want more women to become informed or become educated, so that they can carry out research on how projects that can restore our degraded land systems. Yeah, so those are a few. And also I think that if women become, if there are more projects that are what do you call it, led by women, that can be financed, it's going to also help to improve on land degradation. There are a lot of projects, people can have projects that they want to execute, but lack of finance is going to kill this initiative. I think that if women come to the limelight, such initiatives, can help to solve these problems. I think I want to tell women that they should not give up. The theme of this year, the slogan says, our land, our future. I always say that environmental management, care, protection is the responsibility of each and every citizen. Women are not left out. If we take care of our environment, then we are taking care of our future. We are taking care of our generation. We are taking care of the children that we are going to give birth to. I'm calling on women. I want to anchor women into this, because if tomorrow we have degraded lands and the yields are bad, at the end of the day, women are the ones to suffer, because they have children to feed. They have households to feed. They have people. Every other person that stays under the care of a woman depends on the food, on the agricultural yields. Therefore, whatever it is that are talking in relation to land restoration, all of this project, when it comes to environmental protection, women should pay key attention and they should become involved, because our land is our future, like the slogan says. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elinda, for elaborating and also accompanying us throughout this program. And Otto, before we leave the studio, what's your last message to our viewers with regards to our talking point for today?
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity once more for coming on board and talking about this topic. The last message I have for our viewers concerning our topic of discussion this afternoon is making a conducive environment for us as human beings to live. So don't feel like you are destroying just the environment, you are destroying your own comfortable way of living too in that particular environment. So we are all encouraged to preserve our environment, get that awareness, get that education as concerns the preservation of our environment, and save our environment, save our soils, save other plants, and why not save ourselves too as human beings.
Thank you very much, Otto. Thank you, dear TV friend. We had Mercy and actually skip out the other name, those who contributed via SMS or WhatsApp on the and our friend from Benin as well, from Niger rather, who contributed in the course of the program. I want to say a big thank you to you, Dr. Elizabeth Eboth, who accepted to talk on our microphone, and to you, Franklin Jume, to share with us on how women, the role of women on the preservation or the restoration of the environment. Just to remind you, dear TV friend, that each time on Women's Voice we talk about women, but it's not just for women, as we always encourage men and women to work in synergy for a better and safe planet. So thank you, dear TV friend. We have come to the end of today's edition of the program, as we leave you in the company of more interesting programs coming up next on DMR TV. In the meantime, do not forget to take the rendezvous with us next week for another edition of Women's Voice, only on DMR TV. Goodbye.